Hey, what's going on, guys? Archer Mark here, and back with another video for you. I'm going to take, in this video, another look at another vintage line. Not quite as old as some other toy lines, but an interesting toy line none the least. I've done videos on the old Star Wars toys, and more recently there have been videos on the vintage Indiana Jones line and the Superpowers collection line, which of course featured the DC comic book characters, superheroes. This is the Aliens toy line from Kenner from back in the 90s. And it's very interesting because, you had various aliens and there were Marines and vehicles and all kinds of things. And it's an interesting toy line and just the history, because this is very much patterned after the 1986 James Cameron film Aliens, but the line came out in 92, which was when Alien 3 was coming out, and that's just sort of weird timing. I don't know if it was done that way because, well, an Alien movie is coming out, let's put out an Alien toy line, but yet it wasn't patterned after that movie. It was patterned after the 86 movie. Which I think obviously because of the Marines and the aliens and the vehicles that you could make, you would have the more play value. There's more options to do than, say, Alien 3 or even the original film. But it's just kind of odd. I remember seeing the commercials for this toy line and just think they looked kind of neat. And in the commercials, they would show shots from Aliens, and which is very cool. But I just remember thinking, it's just weird. Why are they coming out now? When these toys are obviously patented after the 86 movie, but it's coming out in 92. So I thought that was very strange. Of course, we're familiar with the more recent Alien figures that have been coming out. That McFarlane Toys did, and even more recently, of course, is NECA Toys has been doing Alien figures, and many of us are excited for the Colonial Marines that are finally coming. We get Hicks and Hudson and a new Alien Warrior, and then there's going to be another wave with a couple other Marines. So again, those are going to be very exciting. But this is interesting. Again, Aliens is not a kiddie movie. And yet, that's another thing with this toy line, is this was made like a kid's toy line, and it's weird. Like, the movie Aliens is rated R, and it's a movie that young kids probably shouldn't have been seeing. Although but yet this was geared towards kids. This was very much a kid's toy line, or certainly thought to be. Obviously, the NECA and McFarlane Alien toys are geared towards the adult collectors, the older collectors. But you had all kinds of interesting aliens. Some looked closer to what we are used to in the movie, like this guy here, and some just looked really different. And same thing with the Marines. I'll show you those a little closer in a moment. One of the things with the aliens is the way the history goes is you have a face hugger, attaches itself to an animal and, plants the embryo, and the chest burster comes out, and eventually we get the alien, the adult sized alien. And the thing is, whatever the chest burster attaches itself to, the alien is meant to resemble that creature, will take on characteristics of that creature. That's why in Alien 3, depending on which version you look at, because there's two different versions, there's a theatrical cut and there's a director's cut, the face hugger attaches itself to one of the bison that the inhabitants of Fury 191 use as sort of pack animals. And in one case, the alien looks like a deer or kind of a moose, bison like animal. And then you get what some people many people would refer to as the dog alien, and that the alien attaches itself to a dog and comes out of a dog's stomach. So they did incorporate that into this toy line, where you had different aliens. There were little comic books that came with the figures that would show this, and so you'd see the facehuggers attacking different animals. So you had, like, this guy is called the gorilla alien. This is the scorpion alien. Back here this was the cougar alien. This guy here is the bull alien. So again, they look like aliens, but they're also meant to resemble different animals that the facehuggers would attack. There was another line a couple years. I just have these three to show you. That was called Aliens Hive Wars, which was, I believe, based off a Dark Horse comic that was coming out at the time, or was out at the time, and they look at least closer to the movie aliens that we're used to. Very basic looking. And these were cool to sort of, if you wanted to army build aliens. And, if you had some of the Marines, and it was cool. There were only 2 Marines in that toy line, and then you had these 3 aliens and that. Dark Horse also did the little mini comics that came with these figures. So I'll show you some of them. They all had this sort of like action features, or many of them did. This is the gorilla alien, and you can see these little levers here. Turn on, and that would make the arms move back and forth, like he was, grabbing a Marine or gonna swat a Marine. And I'm trying to put these guys down very gently, because one problem with this line is that they were kind of top heavy and they didn't stand too well. You had very basic articulation, swivels at the shoulders and the hips, and you'd get some head articulation in some cases, and they just didn't stand too well. Now we get knees, ankles, elbow joints, all that stuff. This guy here, the scorpion alien, had a button to make him blow apart, like a blow apart feature. If you recall in the movie, the Marines would fire with the pulse rifles and they'd blow apart into all pieces all over, so you could do that. This one here is the Queen alien. And this one, switch hands. This one looks really good. This one probably looks the best of all of the figures. And she has the various arms and the big head, and like so. Get that. And see this big long tail, and you can see this knob here. If you pushed it, I'm gonna zoom out. If you pushed it, see the tail just whips around. So you got a good range of motion there. That's cool. You could knock over Marines and whatnot. And then something that was also kind of neat is here on the head, you had sort of like a air cushion, like almost like a bellows. And if you had to sort of push it right, say, and you can get the little mini mouth or the tongue, whatever you want to call that comes out of the alien mouse, and that looks pretty cool. Get her to stand up. So now we'll show you the Marines. I'll just kind of go down the line, and you have Apone and Bishop. They made a figure of Bishop, and he, oddly enough, the character that never uses a gun, comes with this big giant Gatling gun, which looks really cool, but seems out of place for that character. But that's Bishop. Then you have Drake, and his gun, kind of looks like the smart gun. Ripley, she's got this big flamethrower thing got a gun attached to the side. She's got another gun back there. Then you have Hudson, and Hicks, and a lot of people's favorite, Vasquez. And interesting enough, you see the plastic all green gun there, which very much resembles the pulse rifle. She's the only one that comes with this gun. It would have been cool if they just all came with this gun instead of all these big gimmicky guns. I mean, again, yeah, like I said, Drake, yeah, the smart gun, that kind of looks like the smart gun, and Ripley's the flamethrower. That one looks okay, but it would have been cool if more of the Marines came with this gun. Also, Vasquez and Hudson came with these big, just like now with the Star Wars toys and some of the other lines, you get these like big, giant, honking accessories like launching missiles and stuff. And this was supposed to be like a catapult thing, and you attached it to a back and you slotted like a missile, and it was supposed to launch it out. You know, and this is what they look like, and really big and clunky. And Hudson came with this thing, which was like a big, you attached it to his back or his arm, and had this big missile launcher thing, which actually was kind of cool. If you took this slider, let's see if I can get this to work, and you slid it, and it made the missiles fire out. And you know, I just took out Apone, but you know, these big clunky weapons. Hicks had this big rocket launcher. Again, one of these like spring-loaded, you know, gimmicks. You know, we've seen with all the Star Wars toys and whatnot. You know, it's an interesting line. Again, some of them looked here. I'll give you a closer look at the. Let's give you a closer look at the Hicks figure. I'm gonna zoom out there. So there you see Hicks. You know, they got the helmets with the visors and the cameras. And Hudson. Again, here you see Hudson. You know, and his figure has like the the camera, the Marine cameras. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. It looks like a cyborg arm, or why he had that. That's kind of weird. But an interesting line, not a you know, super movie accurate line. But it was cool to have Marines and aliens. Also, like I said, there were vehicles. I got this pamphlet. I do have one vehicle, which I'm going to show you. This is one of these, like, you know, Kenner pamphlets showing different toys. And this showed the aliens toy line. This is heavy-duty Stinger vehicle. And like a Jeep, and it's got, like, missile launchers and things. And then there was this vehicle called Electronic Hover Tread, and this, I guess, is supposed to look like the drop ship, the evac fighter, and has like firing missiles and wings and whatnot. The one that I have, which is the only one I would look for, was this, the power loader, which I have with the box, and this looks really. I'll show you the box real quick. So it's really cool. You know, this is what the packaging looked like. See, Space Marine power loader, and it had, you know, missiles and, you know, all kinds of weapons and guns. And again, they took liberties with this item because the power loader obviously didn't have guns and stuff. But you see here, it's got big machine guns there, and a big machine gun there, and fired missiles. But this was kind of cool. It looked. You know, you could fit Ripley in there or any of the other figures. You have this little gimmick on the back with the claws that made the claws open up. Then you had sort of like a tank tread kind of thing. The legs didn't move, but the arms moved. And like I said, you have the claw action. The arms can move up and down, which was kind of cool. And this, you know, that one looks pretty cool. Again, it looked closer to something we saw in the movie. But there you go. There's the overall look at the Kenner Aliens toy line. Something that, you know, maybe some of you are familiar with. Some maybe you've never seen this line. Not sure. Not a bad line. It's cool. You know, an interesting, cool line. And, well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. And comment, rate, subscribe as usual. And until then, so long.